Hello, my name is Richard Chen. I'm a professor at the University of Hawaii William S. Richardson School of Law. I am the co-author, along with Georgios Dimitropoulos and Julien Chaisse, of an article titled Plurilateralism, a New Form of International Economic Cooperation. The article serves as the introduction to a special issue of the Journal of World Investment and Trade, which my co-authors and I edited. In the article, we define plurilateral agreements as multi-party, sector-specific agreements nested within the frame of an international organization or broader multilateral agreement by a subset of the overall membership. Our definition is narrower than the common understanding of plurilateral as just something that falls between bilateral and multilateral. We adopt this definition to help zero in on plurilateralism as a distinctive governance strategy that affords states more flexibility to develop targeted solutions, cooperating as a subset of a larger membership. Our article provides a brief history of plurilaterals, beginning in the 1970s with the Tokyo round of negotiations under the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, through more recent examples in the WTO era.
Plurilateral agreements are not new. They date back at least to the Tokyo round of multilateral trade negotiations in the 1970s. Notably, the SPS and TBT agreements, now part of the WTO's multilateral framework, were originally conceived as plurilateral Tokyo round codes.
We then turn to the present day and the failures at the multilateral level that have prevented the WTO from updating its rules to address modern challenges and evolving priorities. In that context, plurilateralism offers a path forward for states seeking to cooperate in smaller cohorts on targeted issues.
Plurilateral agreements have evolved in different forms. Two primary types have emerged: closed and open. Closed agreements are provided for under Article 2, Paragraph 3 of the WTO agreement and appear in Annex 4. They form part of the WTO treaty architecture but are binding only on those members that actually accept them. The Agreement on Civil Aircraft and the Government Procurement Agreement are the two examples currently in force. Open plurilateral agreements, by contrast, are not formally embedded in the WTO legal framework. They operate through coalitions of willing members who agree to extend concessions on an MFN basis to all WTO members. Key examples include the Information Technology Agreement and the Agreement on Basic Telecommunications, both from the 1990s. Since 2017, plurilateral cooperation has taken a more structured form through the emergence of joint statement initiatives or joint initiatives. These have led to new agreements such as the Investment Facilitation for Development Agreement and the ongoing negotiations on an agreement on electronic commerce. These WTO-based initiatives have in turn inspired a new generation of plurilateral frameworks beyond the WTO, such as the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, or IPEF. IPEF is shaped by geopolitical and geoeconomic alignments, marking a shift away from Geneva-centered rulemaking towards more flexible, regional, and often informal modes of cooperation.
This move toward flexible regional cooperation goes well beyond trade. The article then turns to other areas where states are trying to make progress, even when multilateral negotiations have gone nowhere. Investment and tax being two of the most telling examples. Investment law has long lacked any kind of universal agreement. That gap hasn't stopped reform. At UNCITRAL, a group of countries is working on procedural changes to investor-state dispute settlement. The negotiations don't involve every WTO member, but they are structured, ongoing, and open. This is a textbook case of plurilateral thinking. Smaller coalitions, focused topics, and room for later buy-in. Tax cooperation has taken a similar path. Through the OECD's inclusive framework, more than 140 jurisdictions are working on global minimum tax rules. These talks are not built on consensus. Instead, they allow different states to move at different speeds with soft pressure to converge over time. Again, the form is loose, but the results are substantive. The article also looks at how states are using domestic tools to influence global economic flows. Special economic zones, ESG disclosure rules, investment screening law. Of course, this comes at a cost. Plurilateral efforts can create overlaps, confusion, or even contradictions. More troubling, they often leave out smaller economies that cannot afford to stay outside the dominant networks. The article argues that plurilateralism is not just a stopgap. In some cases, it may be the only way to move forward. Not every issue needs a grand bargain. Not every rules needs 164 signatories. What matters is whether these efforts are open enough, fair enough, and clear enough to support real cooperation. In the end, plurilateralism is becoming one of the main ways countries work together. It's not always neat, it's rarely complete. But in today's fractured system, it may be what holds things together.
But the project may be even more relevant now, as the dysfunction of the multilateral trade regime has only grown with the erratic behavior of the United States under President Trump. A deeper commitment to plurilateralism may be the best way for states both to achieve short-term progress and to build new foundations for cooperation in the increasingly complex global economy.
Our article sets out the key themes and questions that run through the rest of the contributions. Each piece that follows builds on this foundation, offering concrete examples, critiques, and future directions for plurilateral cooperation. We hope readers will find the collection thought-provoking, timely, and useful as the debate over international economic ordering continues to evolve.